This week, we're headed to Georgia, a state known by many for its peaches, southern hospitality, and college football. More importantly for us, the waters that touch the coasts of this beautiful state are known to hold some of the best shark fishing spots in the country. Joining me on this adventure are seasoned shark angler Cody Evans and first-timer Max Benningfield. Now, one of the biggest keys to success in shark fishing is having fresh bait, which is somewhat of an obstacle when you're coming from Kentucky. The best thing to do when traveling from an inland location would be to dedicate the first part of your trip to getting fresh bait and not shark fishing until you had it. But after driving all through the night, we were ready to get out on the beach and start shark fishing. We figured we may be able to catch some fresh bait while at the same time we shark fished with our frozen store-bought bait. I also had something that I really wanted to try out and see if I could catch a shark on it, and that would be a deer heart. Did this work? No, it did not work, but I tried it and I thought it would be cool. Not long after we got there, some of the local guys started to reel in some sharks, and we knew we weren't going to do any good until we got some fresh bait.
No sharks.
We eventually caught a stingray, which is pretty good shark bait and something that I've been wanting to cook for a long time. So we took a slab of it and put it in the bait cooler, and then took another slab of it and threw it on ice to cook later. Day 2 rolled around, and with a fresh stingray in the cooler, we were ready to start climbing up the food chain. Max hooked into his first shark right off the bat, and from that point forward, we were on it.
I need to get an actual Okay, we need to check right now if we can keep bonnet nose sharks, because this is what this is.
If I've ever seen in my life.
Be mindful when you walk out of where Luke's lines are, because
Did it?
yeah.
To start off day 3, we headed back down to the boat ramp to try to get some more fresh bait. The bait fish that we're going after on this boat ramp are called menhaden, also known as pogies. We caught a few pogies from the dock and headed out to the beach. Things picked up pretty quick. Cody hooked into this absolute megalodon of a shark, and then right after that, one of my rods started going off.
Okay. Something just busted right there. That's
The mink.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
You there? Yeah. Cool.
A few minutes later, we were all kicked back in our chairs, admiring the view, when one of the reels to our right just started screaming. Max hopped up and got behind the rod, and just like that, he was hooked up to the biggest fish of his life.
That's a monster. Big women. Big old women shark. Wow.
Once we get them in.
Holy smokes, dude.
Dude, this thing's got a bite mark on its back.
No kidding.
Oh.
Am I good to set the pole down real quick and go put my shirt on?
Oh my gosh.
Have to set the pole down?
Yeah.
That thing's been chewed on.
Is that not crazy?
Look at the bite mark on that thing.
Look at that. You think you could,
I'm hooked. Look at that mouth on that son of a gun, Max. Hey, pull that line all the way up there, Max, and make sure the hook...
Dude, he's got a stingray in his throat.
That's cool.
He's got a stingray in his
He's
throat.
hungry. Hey, just make sure that hook is not sitting with...
That's a heavy fish too, dude.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
as big.
thick.
That's as big as that bull shark we caught.
It's crazy.
I think it dropped it.
Did it?
Yeah.
Cuss. Slowly but surely, we're building up a
There you go.
shrimp collection for a feast at the end of the week.
Put that in your shirt pocket.
Will they bite you? How are we about to dispose?
So this is a skimboard. I thought it would be a good idea to bring this along and pass the time between bites. And I'll just say, I got off to a pretty rough start.
Biggin?
Yeah.
Cool.
You busting my tail?
Right as you ate the sand, that rod went down.
He's just sitting, dude.
You think it's a ray or
No, he's head shaking.
big lemon?
I don't know. He's gonna take off here in a second, I bet. Well, I'd hate to not, and then that'd be the reason we lose it. Pretty fish. Woo. Woo. You buddy. Go.
It's awesome.
On day 4, we decided to put in a whole day. We were sitting in the parking lot at 4:30 in the morning and had bombs in the water at 5:30. It wasn't too long until I was hooked into my first big fish of the trip.
What happened? You fell?
So shark fishing is pretty fast paced, but I'm not gonna lie, if you haven't got a bite in a few hours, it can get pretty boring. So you gotta find something to do between bites. So we had a hammer throwing contest.
Feel like there's something on there? Yeah. Drag it up.
This is like the bazillionth stingray we've caught. Get cooked up.
Awesome. That's a different species. Look at it, that's completely different.
It's Lamooses.
Lamooses, just Lamooses. So Cody just caught a big old sea trout.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
It's got a singular tooth.
yeah.
Here.
So I filleted the sea trout and threw it in the cooler for our end of the week feast, but I should have waited until we got home, and you'll see why later. We ended the day with this little hammerhead and then packed all our stuff up and called it a good day of fishing. It's 8:00 p.m. We have been on the beach for 15 and a half hours fishing. But it was a good day. We fished all day. We did not stop 15 and a half hours. Caught a couple good sharks, caught a ton of stingrays. We're just now packing up. We're gonna head in and fry some of this stuff up. When we did get home, I took some Old Bay and sprinkled it over the sea trout and the stingray, put some oil in a pan, heated it up, and fried the sea trout and stingray. Now the stingray would have been some of the best tasting seafood that I had, and I learned that some restaurants actually counterfeit scallops by taking a circular hole punch and punching out holes from the stingray. I can see how this is true because the meat really tasted like a scallop. The only thing with this stingray and the sea trout is because I cut it up on the beach, it was full of sand, and this pretty much ruined it. I ate as much as I could because I didn't want to waste it, but the sand really just kind of made it inedible. The next day, we shifted our focus to catching some stuff that we could cook up. Last year, I met a guy named Milton down here at the boat ramp who was catching blue crabs. He gave us some advice on how to catch blue crabs and told us some locations where we might find some. So with this advice, we headed out the next day to see if we could catch a basket full of them.
You eat the claws too?
Yeah.
Now crab fishing is pretty simple. All you do is you take a sort of like a half basket, you tie it to a string, you zip tie a chicken leg to the bottom of the basket, and you lower the basket down into the water. The crabs will make their way into the basket to try to get the chicken, and when you pull the string, the basket kind of expands and traps the crabs at the bottom of the basket. You just pull the basket up every once in a while to check it, and sometimes you'll have a crab or two in there. So I'll go ahead and drop it down for us, Max. Check it here in a bit.
Hold it up.
First crab.
Maybe.
Too small. Not a keeper. No, she got to be 5 inches.
Are y'all good at stitching?
I'm just gonna drop him back down there.
Yeah.
Let him eat your leg.
Maybe his buddies will show up bigger.
I believe that one will. I don't know. I'd say that's a keeper. That's a keeper for sure. Oh, show.
One more.
So we've changed spots. These are both too small, I believe, but we're catching them.
Ow!
He gets you.
Yeah, he got me.
Do you reach back there and get you?
Yeah.
Can they reach backwards?
Yes.
Open the cooler.
Fish. He's there.
What's wrong with a lot of croaker?
help you.
It's a sandbar. At the end of the day, we had probably half a dozen or so crabs. We had the shark left over from day one.
Perfect.
Skinned out the shark the morning before we went crab fishing. I had already cut it up into cross sections, so I just took my knife and worked my way around the spine and kind of flattened it out into a fillet. I don't know if this is the correct way to do it, but it worked. I took the fillets and made a point to rinse them off really good to get all the sand off of them. I didn't want them to be covered in sand and inedible like the stingray and trout the night before. After I rinsed them off, I put the shark fillets in a container and filled the container full of Italian dressing so it could marinate throughout the day. It's time to cook. I threw the shark on the grill and cooked it until it was sort of blackened or charred on the outside. For the crab, I added some Old Bay to a pot of boiling water and let that percolate for a little bit. Put the crabs in a pot of ice, which supposedly puts them in a dormant state, which is a good thing to do before you boil them. I let the crabs boil for about 15 to 20 minutes until the shells turned bright orange.
Try one.
I'm gonna let you guys sample them first because I don't know nothing about eating them.
The last night's dinner was a completely different story from the previous night.
Kill more hammerheads. We will.
It really was some of the best tasting seafood that I've ever had. It wasn't really close to fish or close to chicken. It was different completely, like from both of them, but somewhere in the middle. I don't really know how to describe it, but it was really good. And the crab was as good as any crab leg you've ever had from Red Lobster. There just wasn't enough of it. So the key would be to catch a whole bunch of them and maybe a little bit bigger. But, I mean, the fact that they're just out there and they're so easy to catch is crazy.